Twitter criticism, reading Russian news, Russia Today news, as Fars News Agency, .ir, Iran media is not working. Looks like imperialism, the United States is trying to make China and Russia abandon Israel. No, I mean Iran. The US is trying to make China and Russia give its back to Iran. They are trying to beautiful view, isn't it? Trying to make them pay attention to commerce, to the Strait of Hormuz. Anyway, here we go. Live updates. IRGC says American hideouts in UAE quote-unquote legitimate targets after Shank Island strikes. Tehran says it could hit regional energy facilities tied to Washington after blasts, rocky export island and shipping risks surging Gulf. Let's read it. Live updates. Better in Al Jazeera. Second place, Russia Today. CGTN is the worst live updates for the West. Who knows? Nationally, domestically, who knows if Chinese people read CGTN too. But here we go, live updates. IRGC says American hideouts in UAE legitimate targets after Karg Island strikes. Tehran says it could hit regional energy facilities tied to Washington after blasts rocky export island and shipping risks surging Gulf. Published yesterday, March 13. US President Donald Trump has threatened to order strikes on Iran's main oil export hub on Karg Island unless Tehran halts attacks on shipping in the Strait of Hormuz, raising fears of deeper shock to global energy supplies. This warning came as markets closely monitor whether recent US strikes and damage the island's critical infrastructure, which handles most of Iran's crude exports. The US Central Command, CENTCOM, said it has quote-unquote executed a large-scale precision strike on the island targeting military facilities, quote-unquote, while preserving the oil infrastructure. Almost hit. His warning came out as markets closely monitor. We'll start again. I don't know. The U.S. Central Command, CENTCOM, said it has, quote-unquote, executed large-scale precision strike on the island targeting military facilities while preserving the oil infrastructure, end quote. Iran has insisted the installations of the island had not sustained heavy damage, while the country's elite Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, IRGC, said it maintains, quote-unquote, full and precise control over the Strait of Hormuz. The IRGC also threatened retaliation against American hideouts in the Gulf states. Hideouts, yeah, they're hiding on all that allies. escalation follows new reports by Iranian media claiming that a U.S. oil tanker was attacked and set on fire near Sharjah in the United Arab Emirates. Here are the latest developments as Russia Today continues to bring you up to date. First, Tehran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps said it has carried out additional strikes on Israel in coordination with Lebanon's Hezbollah movement. According to Iranian media, a number of countries across the Gulf reported intercepting aerial strikes from Iran overnight, including Qatar. Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, and the UAE. Israel also reported coming under fire and intercepting rockets and missiles. Iraqi officials said a missile hit a helipad at the US Embassy in Baghdad, while pro-Iranian sources claim a kamikaze drone attack damaged an air defense radar system. The Israeli military said its air force struck more than 200 targets across western and central Iran over the past 24 hours, including missile launchers, air defense systems, and weapons production sites. The US has deployed about 10,000 AI-enabled MIROPS interceptors drones to the Middle East to help counter Iranian aerial attacks. U.S. Army Secretary Don Driscoll told Bloomberg the systems were developed under a Pentagon program and were previously tested in Ukraine. The U.S. military confirmed that all 6 crew members aboard a refueling aircraft that crashes in western Iraq were killed. The Wall Street Journal reported that 5 U.S. Air Force tanker aircraft based in Saudi Arabia were damaged in an Iranian missile strike and were undergoing repairs. European powers led by France have been reportedly consulting partners in the Middle East and Asia about a possible naval mission to escort commercial tankers through the Strait of Hormuz. Trump also said on Friday that the U.S. Navy will, quote unquote, soon be escorting commercial vessels through the waterway to help ensure safe passage without giving details on timing or conditions. That was the first great text from the live updates. And there's the second, March 14, 2026. Not that bad. The layout, the diagram is not that bad. Countries around the world are preparing contingency economic plans as oil prices surge amid U.S.-Israeli strikes affecting energy supply routes. Yaroslav Lisovolik, the founder of BRICS Plus Analytics, I lost myself. Such a beautiful view. The systems were developed under Iraqi officials said a missile hit just 1 second. Tehran Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps said it has carried out additional strikes on Israel in coordination with Lebanon's Hezbollah movement, according to Iranian media. A number of countries across the Gulf reported intercepting aerial strikes from Iran overnight, including Qatar, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, and the UAE. Israel also reported coming under fire and intercepting rockets and missiles. Iraqi officials said a missile hit a helipad at the U.S. Embassy in Baghdad, while pro-Iranian sources claim a kamikaze drone attack damaged an air defense radar system. The Israeli military said its air force struck more than 200 targets across western and central Iran over the past 24 hours, including missile launchers, air defense systems, and weapons production sites. The U.S. has deployed about 10,000 AI-enabled MIROPS interceptor drones on the Middle East to help counter Iranian aerial attacks. U.S. Army Secretary Dan Driscoll told Bloomberg the systems were developed under a Pentagon program and were previously tested in Ukraine. The U.S. military confirmed that all 6 crew members aboard a refueling aircraft that crashed in western Iraq were killed. The Wall Street Journal reported that five U.S. Air Force tanker aircraft at a base in Saudi Arabia were damaged in an Iranian missile strike and were undergoing repairs. European powers led by France have been reportedly consulting partners in the Middle East. Oh yeah, I just read all that. I guess. Yeah, I just read that. Anyway, March 14. Countries around the world are preparing contingency economic plans as oil prices surge amid U.S.-Israeli strikes affecting energy supply routes. Yaroslav Lisovolik, the founder of BRICS Plus Analytics and Russian International Affairs Council Russian International Affairs Council member, has told Russia Today the disruption has raised fears of inflation, slower economic growth, and possible recession in several regions. Europe and parts of Asia are also facing rising energy costs, which could threaten I just lost myself again. Europe and parts of Asia are also facing rising energy costs, which could threaten economic recovery after recent downturns. There's a video about oil prices soar, energy supply route disrupt, U.S. attack on Iran results. Problem is when the image go horizontal, the article move to upward. Crude briefly topped $110 a barrel this month, the highest level since the pandemic. Quote, it shows that that conflicts like this undermine the status quo, also regarding the dollar. This is something that could lead to yet another impulse to the process of lower use of the dollar and greater use of national currencies amongst the developing economies, end quote. Lisovolik added. And earlier, let's say 9 minutes or 51 and then 48, like 3 minutes before. Israel's military has warned that it could attack civilian trucks on Lebanon's coast. The coastal highway serves as Lebanon's primary transport artery, which raises concerns that these warnings could impede movement and potentially discourage civilians from traveling or evacuating areas impacted by Israeli bombardment. Israeli army spokesman Avishai Adrae claimed Hezbollah is disguising missile launches and transporting weapons using civilian trucks moving through towns along Lebanon's coast. And six um, 6 minutes earlier. I mean earlier. Is like the first one is 1551, and then 1548, and then 1542. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres has visited Lebanon, meeting people displaced amid the hostilities between Israel and Hezbollah, as well as inspecting hospitals. Guterres said the situation in the country left him, quote unquote, deeply saddened. But this is almost the same as Al Jazeera. But it's nice, it's nice. Oh, it's been a nice live update from Russia Today. Does it just will enjoy the ride? This was the, I don't know what, Cerro Toro, Bull Hill.